Have you heard about the 45 minutes war? That's the shortest war in human history. So join me, let's go through the story together. The Anglo-Zanzibar War is the shortest conflict ever recorded. Lasting somewhere between 38 and 45 minutes. It happened on August 27, 1896. Yeah, and it was caused by a palace power struggle. When the pro-British Sultan died, his nephew called Khalid bin Bagash, he seized the throne without British approval. This violated an existing treaty. A treaty is a legal and it's a legally binding agreement between two sovereign nations. After Khalid, seized the throne, the British gave him an ultimatum to step down by 9 a.m. Khalid thought they were bluffing, and so he barricaded himself inside the wooden palace with about 2,800 defenders. He even sent a message saying he didn't believe the British would actually open fire on him. Khalid never really thought the British were serious. So, but at exactly 9 a.m., British warships in the harbor began a massive bombardment. By 9:02 a.m., the palace artillery was gone. By 9:05 a.m., the Sultan's only armed ships were sunk. The palace quickly caught fire, and Khalid had to flee to a nearby consulate, for safety. Now, by 9:40 a.m., the Sultan's flag was knocked down, and the shooting stopped. While the British only had one sailor that was injured, roughly about 500 Zanzibaris were killed, or even wounded. To add the final layer to make matters more funny and worse, the British later sent the new government, a bill to pay for the bullets, the ammunitions that they used in destroying the palace. And so my question is, with about 500 casualties on one side and only one injury on the other side, can we even call this a war? Or was it just a 38-minute execution? At what point does a conflict become a massacre? You understand? Or do you think there should be a minimum time limit before a fight officially, gets called a war? So guys, let me know what you think in the comment section. And also don't forget to follow me on all my social platforms as shown on the screen. See our next exciting and very insightful videos. See you.